It's time for another episode of All Right Bet. All right, welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of All Right Bet. It's part 2, Andy. We're over on the YouTube, as always. People trying to figure out how to follow us over here, guys. Not that hard, man, right? But you're here, so I'm not going to explain it to you, right?
No, just go to YouTube. Just type in a name.
Just go to YouTube. You type in DWMOD. You catch part 2 where we give you the big 6 picks. It's all the big games of the week. We have a great guest on every week, man, sharing some fun stories, talk about some fun stuff, and then we get into some football. Going to be great this week. It's going to be great this week because we got one of the weeks where we got a double whammy. We got a real football guy, knows what he's talking about, jumping into some football, and got some great stories. We're gonna get to the guests in a minute. I don't want to give it away too early, but Andy, a quick recap. Now, last week we were on hiatus. Some personal things popped up for the both of us, and we had to skip the show last week. But our guest was more than happy to jump in this week, so that's great. We didn't lose him. But the week before, we had Armin York on from New Jack City the Musical. Listen, Armin killed us, man.
Yeah,
he killed us.
He did.
He killed us. So the week before, not our best weeks, Andy. I mean, you go 1-5 +2 against the spread. I mean, against the over-unders, man. +2 is good. That's good.
That's
good.
The
1-5, and then I go 2-4. But for me, a rare +2. A rare +2 in the over-unders there for me, but 2-4. And Armin, probably the best guest picker of the season, up probably between him and Nolan North. Armin goes 5-1 and +5 on the over-unders.
Well, he just was feeling it. He'd seemed more comfortable. He had a nice little backdrop. Like, he was sitting far away from the camera. Like,
he did.
He looked like he was comfortable, and it's easier to pick when you're comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, he did ask him. He just JETS, Jets. This is easy. He acted like it was easy, and he showed out like it was easy. So that takes our season totals right now, Andy. That takes the season total for you to 24-24, right? Still 500. All right, gambling wise, you want to be above 500, but you're still at 500 there. Right. +1 on the over-unders, though. That's good. We've done a lot of over-under. That's almost 50 games to be +1 on that. That's good. People don't realize that. I'm at 27-21, and that -17 on the over-under comes down to -15 now with the +2 this week. But the NCAA has really just been keeping me alive at 15-9 on the NCAA games. They've been saving me. Guest pickers have taken us over finally. The guest pickers, thanks to Armin going 5-1, they are 28-20. They got it rolling on us here. We got to get it back.
But Grant doesn't know anything about football, so we're going to be fine.
Yeah, he does. We're going to be in trouble because he does. He's going to get us here. So, hey, this week's guest, you know him from being on the show before. You love him. Great dude. Let's bring on our guest, Grant Lancaster. Grant, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. What's happening?
Nothing much, man. It's good to see. It's good to see your face, man. It's been a while.
Good to be seen, brother. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a minute, man. You got to come back to the town, man.
Man, I was just in town for the 30th anniversary at the Planet Ant Theater down there over the weekend, but I was in and out and doing some shows and right back on a plane, man. But if I have time, anytime, I'm stopping by City Wings.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. We appreciate that.
Yeah, 13 years now in the city of Detroit. Now, Andy, Grant opened up a chicken wing joint down in what is called the New Center area. I don't know if they still call it that since it's been built up the other way, right?
Yes, it's still New Center.
They're still calling it New Center.
Yeah.
Now, that New Center area down in that Wayne State area was like not built up, like a tough spot to try and start a business.
Right.
But Grant's always been big into the community and wanted to open a Black-owned business and keep it in the city and try to build up a neighborhood that was not doing well with some business and stuff. And 13 years he's been there, and they tried to scoot you out of there when they started building up all the money, didn't they?
Yeah, it's been a couple times they tried to get rid of us, but I've been real fortunate, man.
Yeah, they can't get rid of you, man. Just too many roots there, and
they don't want us to go anywhere now.
No,
they don't want to go anywhere now.
No,
they just built an apartment building across the street, so the residents of that apartment building have really kind of given us a boost, and they got behind us. Henry Ford with the stuff they've been building. So our customer base, man, they're really, really loyal, and they keep us the wings fly out the door, man, all the time.
Yeah, always have been, man. But that's why, because the wings fly out the door, man. And if you're ever in Detroit, you ain't getting any better Jamaican jerk wings than you're getting the city wings, man.
Nah.
And still won't tell me about that recipe, but I'm telling you, those are the best wings that you can get. Now, a lot of you may listen to the show before, but Grant, we got a lot of new listeners, and they may be unfamiliar with who you are. So Grant and I came on the fire department together, and not a lot of people, even on the fire department, that outside of our group of friends and things, may even know this about you. But Grant has a very interesting background. He came up at Bad Boy Records, like during the peak of Bad Boy Records. I mean, this is like the peak, the epitome of it. Now, you came up with Craig Mack like early 90s Bad Boy.
Right. So I relocated for reasons that shall remain unnamed on this show. But I had to move from Detroit, and I moved to Long Island. My pops was living on Long Island at the time. This is probably 85, 84, 85. I moved there. And 10th grade, and Craig is one of the first people that I meet. My high school, I went at Brentwood High School. In my high school were several people. Disco Richie from Divine Sounds went to my high school. Biz Marquis went to my high school. His brother Diamond Shell, Craig Mack, EPMD, Diamond J, DJ 45. A lot of people.
Crazy.
Right across the street in CI was K Solo. I mean, damn, I'm slipping the name of the group. Did the song Strong Island though. I can't remember the name of the group right now, but a lot of people went to my high school, and Deer Park and Wyandanch, Rakim and De La Soul, and everybody was just kind of around while I was in high school. So I mean, the Long Island is not quite like the city where you could just hop on the subway. We do have a train, but our train is like it's scheduled much more than the subway. So the short story is, you get to know all of these cats. Me and Craig became best friends, started a little rap group, end up in Diamond J's basement one day with Eric and Parrish. We were going to form a quad group. They didn't like us. We didn't like them in terms of rap style,
That's crazy.
And so, high school goes through. I graduate high school. Parrish is a year ahead of us. Parrish is a year ahead of me and Eric. Craig is a year behind Eric and I. So, we graduate. I go to college. Soon as one of my first days on campus at school, I went to Howard. One of my first days on campus at school, I hear Craig Mack's record, and I hear Eric and Parrish's record. And I'm just like, oh shit, I missed out. But fast forward to 94, Craig got a jerk
so this
deal.
is an earlier record. You're hearing an earlier record from these guys.
This is when he was still MC EZ.
Right.
So this is
an early
Retarded.
EPMD album.
Correct. Yeah. This is Craig Mack's Get Retarded record. His name was MC EZ, and DJ Troop was the group. And then EPMD had their first single, It's My Thing, came out 87. So just back and forth. Craig started doing he was a roadie for Eric and Parrish. And eventually he got a deal, 94 with that. He got a deal in like 93 with Bad Boy. So the Bad Boy story. He comes out with a bang, Flavor in Your Ear.
Yeah. Now let's hit on Flavor in Your Ear for a minute. Now, if you guys don't remember this song, I got a clip. Now, I mean, that instantly takes you back. Now, before you get into talking about getting back in and putting that all together and Puffy and meeting Puffy and all that, Howard and all that, let's just address that song for a minute, because everybody hears it and they remember it. But I don't think there's a lot of things people realize about that song. Now, that song drops in 94, and that hits number 9 on the Billboard 100. That's the straight up 100. That's not,
Yeah.
isolation charts.
All
right?
records.
All
Right.
records, right?
Right.
Hits number 4 on the Billboard R&B and hip hop chart, goes to number 1 Billboard rap chart, number 1 Billboard, goes platinum, gets nominated for a Grammy for best rap solo, and I'm sure we're gonna get to some stuff about that because there's some fun stuff
Right.
there too. But I looked up who won that year,
Oh,
and I saw now this one got me because I'm an old school hip hop head. This one got me. It said Queen Latifah won in 94 for UNITY, and I thought that song came out way before Flavor in Year. Those don't even, like, to me instantly, I was like, those are not from the same time.
Right, but it's when the song hits though. You know what I mean? It's all about when the song hits.
That's so crazy to me. Like,
I want to say that Latifah record that was on Black Rain, I think.
maybe.
Yeah, I want to say Black Rain. Black Rain maybe came out in like 93.
Yeah.
Was that like maybe the first rap Grammy? Like, what was that? It had to be close, right? When they started giving those out.
Yeah, because they didn't do all the categories.
The first Grammy went to Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince,
Okay.
and I want to say that was like 91.
Yeah, 91.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I looked that thing up, and I'm like, you're 100% right, because I was thinking 92, but it came out in 93, and then I looked at the rest of the songs that were the nominees that year. And it's This DJ by Warren G. It's Gin and Juice from Snoop. Fantastic Voice from Coolio. I'm going, all these songs are from 93. Mm-hmm. All these songs are from the year before. Can you imagine if the Oscars worked like that? Like, well, that movie just didn't really hit, but now it caught on Netflix, Best Picture.
Right.
That's not how it should work.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, hey, that's the game though. And
that's crazy.
At that time, though, it was such a new genre for the Grammys to be acknowledging. They didn't really know, what they were doing. They didn't know what was really hot. They just knew what, like, MTV played a lot. VH1 might have, I can't even remember if VH1 had a hip hop show back then. But
I don't think
all
they
knew
did.
was Yo MTV Raps and some stuff off of BET or whatever, Video Music Box, wherever they got their numbers from, and they picked the hottest stuff.
But that was very obvious too, because I just had to throw this one out there too. That same year, the best rap duo song, "Regulate," Warren G and Nate Dogg loses.
You got me on that one.
Wow, yeah.
I'm like, man,
that one should have won. That was like one of the biggest hits of the year.
I don't know.
That they lose to Salt and Pepper's "None of Your Business." Come on, man.
It's like poppy rap. They like poppy rap. The Grammys couldn't take it too deep. They weren't taking it.
Yeah.
I was nah, that ain't right. But anyway, man, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like, important to give a backdrop to some folks that maybe are very familiar with some of the people we're about to talk about, but may not remember Craig Mack. But Craig Mack blew up on the scene at that time. So back to what you were saying. Now you're at Howard at the time, and
right. So I go to Howard in '87, and it was, my life has kind of been the perfect storm for a lot of things. So, and I know that you know this, my birthday is August 11th. I was born in 1970. Hip hop was born August 11th, 1973. So hip hop is just, and I tell people, hip hop is just kind of who I am. This is how entrenched in hip hop I am, is that it was born on the same day that I was born.
I will attest to that,
so,
knowing you.
So, but yeah, I go to Howard in '87. When I'm at Howard, me and a couple of my boys from Brentwood go with me. One of which he and I start rapping together. All right, so me and X start rapping. We making demos and just kind of doing the thing. But at Howard, we don't know who they're gonna be. But Diggable Planets is there. Two Kings in the Cypher is there. Puff is there. Mark Pitts is there. Mark Pitts is the guy that used to manage Biggie. So there was a lot of, Cockroach from the Cosby Show went there. Tawana Brawley, she went there at the time. So there was a lot of just kind of the synergy there, man, was so palpable. Like you could touch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was so new, organic, and everybody was trying to get into it. and you know, a lot of people from that time made it. So the first time I see Puff outside of being on the yard, I mean, we know each other, you know, whatever. We know who each other are because you run in that circle, right?
Right.
But the first time I see Puff outside of that, he's on a video with Dougie Fresh, and he's just dancing in the background. So we're like, oh shit, Puff's on a video, and then you know, Puff's working for Uptown Records. Then the next thing you know, Puff gets fired from Uptown Records after he brings in Mary J. He brings in Jodeci. He brings in Father MC, and then he had a falling out with Andre Harrell. Puff gets another deal. You know, Clive Davis from Arista. Clive Davis says, "Yo, I want to start a hip hop label. Puff, you my guy." He gives Puff this money to start Bad Boy. First artist that he signs is Craig Mack.
Crazy.
Yeah. And, you know, that part, you know, is just history. You know, he signs Craig Mack a couple years, and a year or two later, the record comes out. Now, Flavor in Year was actually the last record that he recorded for that album. He thought he had, you know, Craig thought he had a solid album. Yeah. Puff said, "You don't have a single." Got with Easy Mo B. Easy Mo B comes up with the beat. Craig puts the lyrics on there, laces it up real tight. Boom. And first single out the gate. It was the Big Mac single, because Big was signed by the time the record came out.
Right.
So the Big Mac single came in a Big Mac box, or you know, pick a fake Big Mac box.
Yeah. But
it was B-I-G Mac. And one side of the single was Flavor in Your Ear, other side of the single was Juicy.
Unbelievable.
And
unbelievable.
Yeah, skyrocketed, man. It was magical. Now, while this is going on though, I'm still in DC because I've already opened City Wings. Right. So we rocking City Wings, we doing our thing. I hear Craig on the radio all of a sudden. You know, Flavor in Your Ear is crazy. Everybody's bananas over it. I get a call. I'm in a meeting one time with my two of my partners. I get a call while I'm in the meeting. They come upstairs and they say, "Yo, Craig Mack is on the phone for you." Right. So I'm like, all right, I go downstairs, get the phone. I say, "Yo, I got to call you back. I'm in the meeting." And Craig, being Craig, says, "So you in a meeting about chicken?" I say, "Yeah, I'm in a meeting about chicken. I'm going to call you back." So I go handle my meeting. I call him back and he's like, "Yo, I'm about to get rid of Gene. Gene is a guy that used to road manage him, or that was road managing him at the time. Also went to high school with us." And he's like, "Yo, I'm about to get rid of Gene. I want you to come take his spot. Let's go see the world, man. Do it like we always talked about."
Awesome.
So this is like Thanksgiving of '94.
Like right when Flavor in Your Ear is blowing up.
Yep.
I mean, it's on every radio in the parking lot at school. Yep. I mean, it's no doubt. Yeah.
So Thanksgiving of '94, I fly up. You know, I'm skeptical. I'm like, I'm doing my thing down in DC. I feel you, but I'm doing my thing down here. So I get up there, you know, flies me in, limo, you know, name on the placard and everything.
Hilarious.
You know, right. So we go around. I go to his house first. I don't even get to go home first. Limo takes me to his house. We go out to the city. He's introducing me as his new road manager, right? So I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
We get to Bad Boy. Puff is there. Puff is like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Yo, this is my man." Right. The world is full circle.
Right.
So at this particular weekend, there's a show at the Apollo, and they do Flavor in Your Ear remix. Everybody's there. And when I tell you it was the most bananas scene I've ever seen in my life, it was ridiculous, man. I mean, so the show goes, it's like it ended.
So let me just put that in context for everybody real quick before you get to the big thing. Because again, people may not know. They should, but they don't know. So this, like we're saying, this is the epitome of like Bad Boys just starting to rock it. The first two guys on the label are Biggie, right, and Craig Mack. The Big Mac single comes out. Both these albums are going nuts. And so they do a Flavor in Your Ear remix. Now, this Flavor in Your Ear remix, this has got Biggie on it. This got Rampage on it. This got LL Cool J on it. This got Busta Rhymes on it. So, like, at that time, all those guys are at the epitome of like blowing up, and they all drop this track together. And I mean, just to set the scenes. Now you go ahead.
Yeah. And they're all at the Apollo that night. So the show happens, stage is black. All of a sudden, the spotlight pops on, and you see Puff on the stage with the 3 bottles. Bad boy. Crowd goes ape shit.
Man.
Beat drops. When Biggie comes out, it's the most ridiculous thing ever.
Sure.
I mean, and the energy was nonstop for the whole. The song is what, 4 minutes? For the entire 4 minutes. I mean, L is there, Bust is there. It's absolutely ridiculous. And from that moment, I was like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, he brings you in on the night of one of the greatest moments of explosion in the hip hop culture. I mean, like, it takes it to the whole next level. I mean,
Biggie's from Brooklyn, right? Is he from New York?
Yeah, from Brooklyn. Yeah, Biggie's from Brooklyn. Yeah, Busta's from Brooklyn, but he's Long Island too.
Yeah, LL.
Yep, LL is Queens.
I mean, just unbelievable.
So it was beautiful, man. Like it was the best. So I tell people firefighting is the best job that I've ever had outside of owning my own business. Road managing is above all.
Sure.
Right? That being able to see the world on somebody else's dime, hanging out with your boys all day, which is very similar to the fire department. Yeah. But hanging out with your boys all day, and then you in city to city, hotels, the women. I mean, it was a phenomenal life.
It's got to be crazy. So you guys hit right out on the road and go where?
Right out on the road. And we're everywhere. We're doing like spot dates. So we're not doing like a full-blown tour. We're doing like weekend shows. So we'll hit, Texas, we'll hit Atlanta, we'll hit Cali, we'll hit, just wherever we get booked. So we're getting booked at all these shows. And just kind of going around seeing the country, man. It was beautiful. Like we did Lawrence Phillips when he got drafted for the Rams. We did his party.
Crazy.
We got invited to the first was it this what award show was it? Soul Train Awards or something?
Probably back then, yeah.
Because Craig had did a remix with TLC, and they wanted to perform that remix at this award show. It was in Cali. We did the second Essence Awards in '96. That was great. That was in New York. Sinbad and Halle Berry hosted. And that's the
So this is a great this is a great story here.
So Mike knows the story. So we at the Essence Awards. We at this Essence Awards, and me and Craig are backstage. This is during rehearsal. So we're backstage, Sinbad and Halle Berry hosting. So Sinbad and Halle Berry are out on stage doing their talking thing. Mm-hmm. We backstage looking at Halle Berry.
Yeah, this is also, by the way, it's like Halle Berry in 1994.
Yeah, this is like 96.
Right, it's like Swordfish, like man.
Yeah. This is Halle Berry at the peak of her powers, bro.
Yeah. Right. This is Halle Berry when they're like, let's just make a whole movie about her in that suit.
This is post David Justice.
Right.
So we watching Halle Berry, and me and Craig is going bananas over this chick, right? So she gets off stage, and I'm like, Doc, I gotta say something. And he's like, you ain't gonna say nothing. I was like, I'm telling you, I'm gonna have to say something. So Craig goes out on stage and does his rehearsal thing. And when he's out on stage, I creep over there, and I'm like, yo, Halle Berry. And she's like, yeah. I said, I said, "You are the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life."
Yeah.
And she just kind of chuckles, and I say, "Nah, you don't understand what I'm saying. You are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen in my life." And she just like smiles, and she touches my arm, which to me, once you touch my arm, you're mine, right? So now I'm like, oh shit, I got her. So we start talking, whatever. And there's a television, and she says, "Well, let's go over here. We can watch your man's, on stage or whatever." So I'm like, "All right, just give me 1 second," because out of the corner of my eye, I see Shantae Moore, who is also fucking drop dead gorgeous, man. I mean, what am I gonna do out here? So I say, "All right, hold 1 second," and I just go because I already know Shantae Moore is dating Kadeem Hardison, so I really just want to say what's up, tell her how much I love her music, and keep it pushing.
Right.
But I go over there, shake her hand or whatever, tell her what I'm gonna tell her, and then when I go back, Hallie's people have whisked her away.
Okay.
So
man,
yeah. So I had a shot and I blew it.
Yeah.
That
Dog
bird in
with
the
a
hand.
bone barking at his own
right.
reflection in the river, man. Sploosh. Sploosh. That's what happened.
Yeah. So
Oh man,
that's the Hallie story.
that kills me every time.
Also, you get that close to Halle Berry in like 1996. You shoot.
Listen,
you got to go for it.
Oh, you have to. And that's where I learned that no woman is out of my league. I figured that out that day.
Yeah, just filled with confidence. Like for you,
man, listen.
You're like, yeah.
Listen, and so what's funny is when Craig gets off stage, he was like, "Dog, what did you say to her?" And I was like, "I just told her she was beautiful." And he was like, he's like, "Are you fucking kidding?" I'm like, "Nah, man, I told her she was beautiful." And he was like, "What happened?" He was like, "I saw you for a minute talking to her, and then like you was just by yourself."
Right.
And I told him what happened, and he was like, "Man, you stupid."
Right. Right.
He's like, "You stupid."
Oh,
like,
hilarious, man.
Like, yeah, I blew that one.
Now, how many times in your life when a relationship didn't work out with a lady and maybe she's, how sometimes it can end sour and they start coming at you with some shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How many times were you just like, yeah, you know how close I was to dating Halle Berry? I don't need this. I don't need this.
Yeah, I'm not.
It could have saved her. I mean, I think she's kind of had a tough history.
Right. I could have been the one.
Snipes was a tough.
I could have been the one.
Yeah,
I could have been Mr. Halle Berry and saved her from all this madness, man.
For sure. I would still be Mr. Halle Berry.
It's still a possibility, man. It's still. We're trying to get her on the show. If we do, I'll remind her.
Yeah. Let me know.
Hey, I want to ask you something.
Yes,
is the group you were trying to think of, was it JVC Force?
JVC Force. Yep. Kirk Mazal was my guy, the DJ. Yeah.
Man, just like to land on Long Island in like 85, man, that's like the boom of like Run DMC is just starting to take hip hop to the next level, giving it credibility, and I'm not saying they're responsible for that. I'm just saying pop culturally, they're the breakthrough group.
Yeah.
And Aerosmith, and when Aerosmith says, "Now, this is music, we're going to do a collab with these guys," then it's like real stamp of approval from the music industry. Run DMC takes up. I mean, that's all happening right around then and heading right into the 90s. And then like being at the same school with Puppy while he's putting this together and you guys know each other. And then years later, he signs Your Boy. And then you walk in and you guys were kind of not the best of friends. And you walk in and he goes, "Fuck you doing here, man?" It's amazing, man. It's a great story, man. So you tour with them for a while, right?
Yeah, I toured with them for a little while, and then shortly after, when it was time for him to make his second record, some things kind of went sideways. That second record never came out on Bad Boy. It did come out on a West Coast label, and I think he had signed with Eric B, because Puff was like, "You're done." So
now I want to definitely touch on this and ask you about this, because it was one of the biggest one of the biggest puzzling hip hop moments for me, like in high school. You know what I mean? Like I was in high school when that came out. Now was like, when is this second album coming out from Craig Mack? He's a mega star. His music's awesome. Funk the World killed it. And we were all waiting on the second album that never happened. And never knew why. None of us never knew why. And then I happened to land in the circle with you, and I get to get the real story finally as to what happened and why. And share that with us, man.
So there was hip hop is, as a new industry, and not just hip hop, but as a artist, you primarily getting jerked, right? And as a hip hop artist at that time, you were primarily going to be living off of show money. Any record sales or whatever, you're not going to be getting money from that. There's a word, recoupable, that means any limo ride, any clothes, any promotional tours, anything that you do, that record label can charge you for that. And that comes directly out of your record sales and possibly your royalties, depending on what your record sales look like. So that's how they keep artists in debt. So anyway, Craig, one day, he's looking at his finances, talks to his accountant or whatever, and figures out that he's still broke, with all these record sales and all this touring and everything. So he brings his contract by the house, and he's like, yo, I want you to read this for me. And I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but, I'm smart enough to read the contract and kind of understand what the words mean. So I read the contract. And after I read it, I tell him, look, basically, you ain't going to make no money from selling records, because everything you get from Bad Boy, like, any promotional thing, everything comes out of what you earn for Bad Boy. So I tell Craig this, and Craig's manager at the time is Alvin Toney. Alvin Toney was a bodyguard for Eric and Parrish. So, and that's actually how him and Puff got together to get Craig this deal. But anyway, so Craig and Alvin Toney get together, and they decide that they're gonna go to Clive Davis, who owns Arista, who owns Bad Boy.
Oh man!
So these jokers call me one day, man. It's a whatever day it is. I'm at the crib, my phone rings, and it's Alvin Toney. So I'm like, "Hey T, what's happening?" So he say, we about to come by there. We gonna shoot to the city. I said, all right, what's up? He says, we going to see Clive Davis to talk about Craig's contract. I said, I'm not going. He said, yeah. He's like, nah, you got to go. I said, why I got to go? He said, because we want you to go. But I don't want to go. Right. Like, it's a bad idea, dude. Like, I don't want to try to go over Puff's head. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's insane. They're like, man, fuck that. Craig's a platinum, gold, platinum singles, two platinum singles, a gold record, blah, blah, blah. We got to get his money right. So finally, they just tell me I don't have no choice. Alvin Toney was Golden Glove. So when Alvin Toney say you don't have no choice, you go.
Right.
So we hop on a train all the way to the city. From Brentwood to the city is about an hour and 20 minutes. All the way to the city, I'm talking to these cats like, man, this is a terrible idea, right? Like, I mean, I get it. The contract is bad, but now right? So moving forward, we just got to make better choices, right? We can do that. Like, we ain't got to do what you're trying to do. So, but they determined because they want this money. So we get to Arista, go upstairs. Clive Davis office. I mean, artist there. All right, come on in. Clive Davis, real nice cat. So we go in. Clive Davis got this huge office, big desk. He got a couple chairs in front of the desk, and then he got a couch, like right by the door where you walk into his office. Craig and Alvin go sit in the chairs, and I'm sitting not on the arm of the couch, but as close to the arm of the couch by the door as I can get. Like I don't even want to be seen in this office. Sure. So, they spit the game or whatever, and they sing the sad song or whatever. Clive listens, and at the end of it, he says, "Well, you guys are bad boy artists, not mine. So you can get the fuck out of my office and don't ever come back with this bullshit."
Oh man.
So I open the door. I'm out. We leave. So we on the elevator going down, and I'm like, I told y'all this was a bad idea. So immediately what happened.
Oh,
Clive is on the horn,
Sure.
reading Puffy the Riot Act.
Sure.
Right. So we go from Arista, we go to Bad Boy. We get to Bad Boy. So when you walk in Bad Boy's office initially, Puff's office was to the left. To the right was Kurt Burrow's office, who was Puff's man, his VP. Kurt is my guy. When we walk in, Kurt calls me into the office. I walk over there, and I can already hear Puff yelling at Alvin and Craig. And Kurt is laughing. And he is like, "Dog, what did y'all do?" And I said, "Dude, these jokers went to Clive Davis, try to get this money based off of the contract or whatever." And Kurt is just laughing like the whole time. He's like, "Dog, you might as well go back to DC." He was like, "Your man's is never going to make another record. Not here."
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened.
That's how you kill a career.
The record never came out. I mean, we had beats. We had collected beats. Minnesota, a couple other cats had Nasheem Myrick had done some beats for him. So he had a lot of beats already. He was just doing the writing or whatever. And after that, it was a wrap. So we were in, and I stayed in Brentwood after that, probably for another 3 months, 4 months, hoping, you know what I'm saying? Hoping that we could fix something or get it back together somehow. Craig ends up going to LA. Eric B's got a record label somehow out in LA. So he puts Operation, I think the second record name was Operation Get Down. Okay. And Operation Get Down comes out on whatever the label was, but there was no it just was nothing.
I'll be honest with you, I don't even remember it coming out. Like I don't even know if I ever heard it.
It wasn't a good record. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, but it was a total change of scenery. I mean, there was a lot of problems, man, like with the whole situation. It would have worked out better because he went out there by himself. Right. So he didn't have me, he didn't have Gene, he didn't have 4-5, he didn't have X, he didn't have Rudini. You know what I mean? Like so he was out there by himself, with strangers making this music. Like my man Lenny, who mixed half of his first album, Still on Long Island, you know what I mean? So you go out to Cali, man, and you're doing this thing with these people that you don't know. They don't know your sound. You know what I mean? Like that they don't know you. You know what I mean? And it just was, the record wasn't a good record.
Yeah. So man, it's unfortunate, man. It was like I honestly that was one of the biggest. We're like, when is this album coming? I can remember in high school, like, when is this album coming out? Like Puffy got like all these albums are still coming out. Bad Boy. I'm like, when is Craig Mack gonna hit another? And then I never knew. Now I know.
That's why I don't like Mace to this day. So to me, Mace was Puffy saying, "Look, I can get anybody," and I'm not trying to say that Mace is not talented, because Mace is a very talented cat, but Mace versus Craig Mack is it's no comparison.
No. Right.
Also, Mace has got that podcast now. Mace seems crazy to me.
Yeah, Mace. Well, like, Puff drives a lot of people crazy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, or puts them in compromising circumstances or whatever.
I mean, I was thinking about, like, I have one question about Puff, which is, like, in college, was he called that? Puff?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, because he was a party promoter when we were in college.
Okay.
And it was Puff Daddy Productions.
Huh?
That was his thing.
Okay, so
yeah.
You also forget now because it's what 2023. You know, like 92, 94 to like 2011. Like Puff was powerful.
Oh,
he
absolutely
was powerful.
Yeah,
you know, like in that world.
Puff for all of his faults, man. Puff is a genius, bro. I mean, if nothing else, he's a marketing genius.
Yeah.
If nothing else, because Puff managed to sell us Total.
Mm-hmm.
Total. It's hard to sell a singing group that can't sing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he did it.
And he also stumbled into like one of the greatest rappers of all time. And he like that's like, you know, when you're adding the whole pieces, like is a G, and you know, some of that's on him. He helped, you know, he found him, or not found him, but like he got in business with him, you know.
Puff made everything. Every break that Puff got was a break that Puffy made. Now he was in position to get the help that he needed, but he had to work to get himself into that position. Because make no mistake about it, Puff is one of the hardest working dudes I've ever known.
He's a hustler,
right? Yeah, straight hustler. You know, I mean, like I said, if he sold Total, that was amazing to me. You know, everything else that he's done. I mean, with the clothing line, and you know, I mean, the dude is just, he's a mogul, man. Puffy was born to be who he is.
Right.
I'll put it to you that way. Yeah.
Right. And you're basically like let's say you run the simulation of your life 10 times. Basically, you would take 5 or 6 different variations. Puff just hit it. He hit the same variation every time. He was born to do this.
Yes. And no matter what he had done, he was going to be uber successful because he just had that work ethic. But he wanted to make music.
Right.
So Puff is from Uptown. He knew Dougie Fresh. That's how he ended up getting in the video. You know, and then from there, you know, just the relationships, man. Just like how I got on. You know what I mean? Just in my little road managing piece, it was only about relationships. So, you know, going to Howard, man, that was really my biggest takeaway from going to Howard was the relationships that I was able to build with people. You know, and I think that translates over every aspect of my life. You know, is that my relationships have gotten me further than I probably would have gotten myself. You know, now, of course, my relationship can only get me in the door. Once I'm in the door, I still have to show and prove. But if I can show and prove, which I don't have no problem, you know, I think I can shine in any situation. So if you let me get in the door, it's gonna be a whole lot of people coming with me because I'm gonna blow the sucker wide open. But you know, like I said, if when you a Puff Daddy, you know, you don't get to that level, man, without being that kind of guy that's gonna work harder than everybody else. You know what I mean? That Kobe Bryant work ethic.
Right. Yeah, rarefied air. You know, it's not.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's not a lot of Puffs. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, Puff wasn't really my kind of guy, but I respect the hell out of that dude, man. I love him.
Why was it just lucky timing at Howard? It's kind of a hotbed of like super talented people all hanging out at one time.
You know, I think it was a fortunate time because Howard is no longer the same, but it was fortunate because there was still a lot of people that were kind of in between being like when I went to Howard, it was a lot of like thugs, quote unquote, that went to Howard, and a lot of scholars that went to Howard. The thugs were intelligent people. Right. So that's how they got to go to Howard. But that mix of people, you know what I mean? Like if you were a thug dude and you hooked up with somebody, you know, not saying that you know, if you were a thug and you connected with somebody that was on the business side of the game, then maybe you could take what you do and apply what they know, you know, to what you do and become a better whatever it is that you do. Right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So and that exchange of ideas, that exchange, that willingness to accept somebody else's culture and somebody else's experiences and learn from them and, share what with them. And, no, like there was no fear of the competition was fierce, but because iron sharpens iron, right. I need for you to be better too. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It don't do any good if I'm just the great one out here. I need for you to be better so that I can still get better.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the mentality back then.
Yeah. It's always interesting to me. Like I moved to Chicago in like 98. And anyway, when I got there in the comedy world, everybody's like, we're talking about all these like Farley, and then it's like Carell, Colbert, Fay, Polar, like all these people that were all hanging out at that same time. It's all, and it all left to move to New York to do other things. It's just interesting when these like super talented people all find themselves in the same vicinity at the same time,
right?
Crossing streams, like
yeah. I don't think it's any coincidence, man. Like they feed off each other. Right. You know what I mean? Like we just, you know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, it's cool. Right. It's a cool time to be there, and it's cool.
Yeah. When what they say, when you find you the smartest guy in the room, you need to find a new room.
100%.
Yeah. So
100%. 100%. Which takes us back to like some old memories at the academy I won't even get into, but like Andy, early on, me and Grant were kind of like, boom, we were on the same page with each other on a lot of stuff, man. I was like, this guy's pretty confident, but he's pretty smart, and I see he's thinking through what he's talking about, and we see eye to eye on a lot of stuff.
Listen, let me tell you something. Mike Wilson, that's my brother, man. Like for real.
I appreciate
it. So I got a lot of friends, man. Some of which I talk with a lot, some of them I don't. But even the ones that I don't, when I talk to them, it's like the wheel never stopped moving. You know what I mean? Yeah. We right back on track. We catch up that little bit of time and boom, we gone again. And Mike, man, is one of those guys, man. Like I love this dude to death, man. So anytime he calls me home, you know what I mean? Or whatever, man.
He's an average gambler. He does some things that drive me crazy.
I do. That's true. Now, Andy is our resident Vegas advisor here.
Yeah, like teases. He teases things incorrectly for me. Like I just want him to tease the other way. It's driving me crazy. Every week I have to text him, when are you going to listen to me? And he's
you don't like when I cross the line, man. But
Yeah, sometimes you gotta do a Costanza. If your instinct tells you to do one thing, you gotta do the opposite.
You gotta do the opposite, right? And then you wind up working for the Yankees, and that's how it goes down, man.
So, Grant,
yes, sir.
To end not to end your story, but to ask you. So then, in 2000, I guess it would be 10ish. Did you open City Wings up in Detroit?
Yep, I opened City Wings in 2010. I end up coming back. I went back to DC after I left. Once I left Long Island for good in like 97ish. I went back to DC. I was there for about another year. The partnership, I got back into the partnership. The partnership ended up going bad, and then I left. So I moved back to Detroit in 98. So that was kind of a tumultuous period for me. But once I got back to Detroit, I wanted to open another restaurant because I enjoyed it. But the fire department came along first. So I get on the fire department. I meet a bunch of cats, man, like
clowns.
Even though I'm born in Detroit, Detroit is really not to me, Detroit is not my home. Long Island is really my home because that's where my like my formative years were spent on Long Island. But I still got great love for Detroit, man. Like it's one of my favorite places to be. So when I come back, I get on the job and I meet these phenomenal people, man. And they start showing me things about the city that I never knew, because I left, I was 14 when I left, so I didn't, I wasn't like out there doing a whole bunch at 14,
right.
But when I came back, I meet these great group of dudes, man. And they show me all these things. And next thing you know, I'm talking about doing the City Wings again. got my chips up again, and did a few things here and there, and was able to put it all together. Signed a lease on the Boulevard in 2008, and it took us about a year and a half to do the build out, because myself and the builder are both on the fire department. So we work our shifts, and then when we get off in the morning, we both report to City Wings, and we work there for the rest of the day. So it took about a year and a half to get it built up, but we opened September 22nd of 2010.
Oh, okay. CityWingsInc.com.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No,
yeah,
Andy, I'm telling you, best wings in the city.
I love a good wing, buddy.
And that's the thing, man. I tell people all the time. So we call ourselves your favorite wing joint's favorite wing joint.
And it's dead on.
Right.
And it's dead
because,
on, man.
People wonder, people don't believe like we're not a franchise. But these are like my recipes. I took them from the City Wings that we had in DC. Some things I changed. I created some other flavors, but now this is an entirely new creation. And like I use all Amish wings, and I mean everything, man. It was important for me that it look a certain way. I wanted to present. I wanted to present it so that it didn't look like
it's a visual thing, man. When you go in there, Andy, it's like all the guys are behind the counter, and like, so when the wings come out of the fryer, he's got like these huge walks over open flames and all this. Like the wings are marinated and ready on their flavors before they get fried, but then when they come out, they go on these giant walks in the flame, and then they get hit with the sauce that they're getting, and they're tossing them, and sparks are flying, and hitting the sauce on them, and it's phenomenal, man.
It's a nice little show, man.
It's cool.
People love to stand at the counter and watch those wings flip through the air.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. It's a great joint. When we're in town, Andy, I'll take you over there. We gotta go.
Yeah, come on down, man.
Go. But that's the type of dude Grant is, man. When I first started this thing, Andy, we did the first episode together on the NFL draft or something, and I'm trying to keep it rolling and get some guests going or whatever. And Grant was like, "Hey, why don't you come on down to City Wings, man? We'll do it live right here. We'll talk about some old bad boy stories and stuff." And I was like, "Man, I'm in." We did it live right in the window while
it was beautiful.
And that was still beautiful. Up there. You guys can go back and listen to that. But man, I appreciate you, man. I do.
Yeah, man. Listen, anytime, bro.
No doubt. Well, listen. On that note, fellas, let's slide into some football games. I know you're ready. I know you're ready. We got our work cut out for us this week. Hey, let's jump into college. You see, I got my gear on here. You see, I got my gear on now. I'm no diehard Michigan lackey. Like, I like Michigan, but I'm a Big Ten fan. Like, I'll root for Ohio State when they're in the playoffs. Good for the conference. The D'Antonio years at Michigan State, I was a big fan. Tough teams. Ridiculous what's going on right now. We won't even get into all that. It's so silly. Right. But let's jump into the first game. Guys, we got Michigan laying 5 at Penn State. The over-under is 46, and I got to tell you, I don't know how it's only 5 points. I really don't know how it's only 5 points. I mean, the sign stealing thing is so stupid. The team is galvanizing over it like you wouldn't believe. I wanted to play a clip right here that I couldn't find of Isaiah Thomas and the Bad Boys 30 for 30 documentary. It's a bad boy theme this week. The 30 for 30 documentary, when he talks about being the bad boys, and he's like, everybody just kept saying it, wouldn't leave it alone. And they wanted to label us like that. So you know what? You got the bad boys now. Right. That's who we are. And I feel like that's how these guys feel right now. Penn State hasn't been the same since Ohio State hammered them. And then the following week, Indiana puts it to them, and they barely win that. Northwestern was beating them at the half earlier in the year. I think they're completely overrated. They can't get the ball downfield. And I'm telling you, I'm taking Michigan by 27 or more running away in this thing. I think they're going to absolutely show up and smash Penn State. They're bigger, they're more physical. They're bigger and more physical than Ohio State, and Ohio State smashed them in the mouth. Give me Michigan laying the 5, and give me the over on 46 all day long. Grant, what do you think on this one, man?
I'm right there with you. Now I believe. So I'm kind of like, I think it could go one of two ways, because I believe Penn State's defense is good. Michigan has been playing. I mean, Michigan been favored by 17 or more in just about every game, and probably every game.
Yeah.
So they've been they've been playing some weaker competition, but you can only beat who's in front of you. So I don't hold that against them. But if Penn State's D can hold them down, the problem with Penn State is they have difficulty scoring. So Michigan should win the game. I think it will probably be tight. So I think Penn State covers, and I also like the over.
All right, you're going to be on Penn State and the over. Andy, what's Vegas telling us, man? What are they saying?
You know what I love? I love a home dog.
Love a home
A
dog.
home dog. Look, Penn State had to go to Ohio State. That's just a tough place to play. But there's an opportunity for some madness, right? And I kind of like the madness, which is Penn State beats Michigan, Michigan beats Ohio State, and then it goes into some weird scheduling, like record road teams, right? Like, so the fact that Northwestern's good or better than what I thought they're going to win like one game, Northwest. So like their win percentage is going, which helps Penn State. So only two of those teams, are going to fight it out for a possible opportunity in the four. Look, I'm not sure if Michigan's O-line can block Penn State. I think they have some questionable line issues. Like, also Michigan schedule, kind of what Grant's saying, it's laughable. It is, and they're blowing people out, and they're the Vegas favorite to win the national title. I would take Georgia, minus 25, but Penn State's like, plus 225 to Michigan is to win the title, which is crazy, right? So just some of Michigan's opponents this year, just raise your hand when you hear a good one. East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, Rutgers, Nebraska, Minnesota, Indiana, Michigan State, Purdue.
Rutgers, the only good one in there, and UNLV's good in their conference, but that ain't Power 5.
Right. Yeah. Like 6-2 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna, I have a future on Penn State. I hate Penn State. I hate them because they can't throw the ball 20 yards. They can't. They're just gonna run it, and then this game's gonna get. I think this game's gonna be. I'm taking the under.
You're taking the under, huh?
Boring. I agree with Grant. Penn State defense for real. I think against Ohio State, I don't know anything about the Michigan defense, to be honest with you. Mainly because they haven't played anybody. So they could be good. I have no idea. This would be a good week to find out, though, because the Penn State offense isn't any good either. And to me, the Michigan offense is far better than Ohio State, Indiana, or Northwestern, who all hung a lot of points on Penn State. So, but last week's game too was an easy overlook, right? When whoever their Penn State was playing, like they didn't care about that game. They know there's still Penn State still has a path to the Big Ten. Sure, and this is the path. Right. The path also starts with Michigan, then beating Ohio State. Right. That's how this path works. It's just how it works. Maybe Ohio State beats Michigan, and then I don't know. I don't know how it won't happen if Ohio State unless Ohio State loses. So this is how Penn State gets there to beat Iowa or whoever the hell they're going to beat in the Big Ten title game. So I'm just going to take the under. I think it's going to be like 24-21 ish, 23-20. Penn State maybe wins. I don't know. I like that Michigan brought Ric Flair in this week. I love that they're just going to be the villain. I mean, lean into it, man. Lean into it. Like the dude who the blue light comes on, and I watched that video of the Michigan guy on the sideline, who's the blue light comes on. Mm-hmm. I never understood it. I'm like, are you telling me the University of Michigan has this unbelievable video access to these? It's James Bond level glasses. Yeah, it's the most. I mean, anybody with a pair of eyes can see this is some kind of goofball that's a lackey and wanted so badly to get in good with Harbaugh and these guys. He did all this crazy, stupid shit on his own. If you'd have went to these guys and pitched this plan to them, they'd have went, we have the film and cameras. Everybody knows each other's signs, and you're weird. You're fired. I will say this is last Harbaugh year. He won't be there next year. He's out. There's he's just going to go to the NFL because why does he need to deal with this ultimately? He might want to stick it to the NCAA because that's all they're trying to do is stick it to him because he told him, go piss up a rope. You're coming after me about hamburgers in 2020 and you cut these kids loose getting car dealership money. Fuck off. Mm-hmm. And he's right. But
I mean, let's jump to the next game here. I could go on and on about this thing. Let's jump to the next game here. It's near and dear to Andy's heart. Now, Andy's from Missouri, so we're going to go with another home dog game here. Tennessee laying 1 point to Missouri. The over-under is 58. Andy, tell us why you love your Tigers being a home dog.
But love the University of Missouri. I will say I'm not the kind of fan who, when your team's good, you think they're going to just be awesome and roll everybody. I tend to be a little bit of waiting for the other shoe to drop with Missouri, but so I'm always like, well, they're going to get hurt. Mikey, you know my opinion of Joe Milton, the quarterback of Tennessee. Do not like him. Do not think this is the right team for him. He needs to go to I don't know where UNLV. They put Joe Milton in it, put Joe Milton like Fresno State. Put him somewhere where they just fling it all day long. Look, Missouri's real weakness is this: they're bad at the safety position, right? And so you can hit them deep, you can pass over them, you can't really run on them. So I guess if you want to take Tennessee, you are convinced that Joe Milton is going to be able to beat Missouri. And I just don't think it's going to happen. I also think Missouri is a legit, probably since first time since 2013, I can say this, a legit top 15, maybe not top 10.
They are
20 team. I think they had some opportunity to beat Georgia. Now the things had to really go the 100% the right way for them. And they went 60 to 70% the right way. So it just didn't, with 9 minutes to go in that game, they were down 6 points, 7 points. It was in the, of course they didn't have Bowers, and that's a whole different.
Well, whatever. It's a tight end.
But so I'm going to take Missouri. I don't think Joe Milton's going to be able to beat them deep all day long. I think Missouri's got a competent quarterback in Cook. They got the best slot receiver, I think, in college football, and Luther Burden. They got a lot of weapons. They can kind of pass. Their running game's not great, but they'll give up the run midway through the second and just throw it anyway. So I'd take Missouri, and I will take the over.
Take the over. Both these teams are going to score some points, and I don't know how Missouri is a home dog in this thing against Tennessee. I don't. I mean, let's recollect on Tennessee's road record this year, guys. Lost to Florida by more than 2 scores. Lost to Bama by 2 scores. They beat Kentucky on the road with a late touchdown down the stretch. Kentucky, decent team. That's a decent win. But Missouri at home beat K-State. That's a big win. K-State's legit this year, right? They lost in a shootout to LSU. We all watched that one. They showed they belong. And then last week, like you said, against Georgia, they showed they're the real deal. I mean, he throws that pick at the end of the game. They're going down to if they score there, they got their onside kick away from being in a damn thing for a field goal. So, I think Mizzou is legit this year. And my point is, Mizzou plays anywhere. Tennessee has got to be at home, right? They got to be at home. So this spread makes no sense to me. I'll be teasing it all day long. And I'm going to tell you this, give me the Tigers and give me the over, man. Grant, what do you think?
So I'm going the opposite.
Yeah, we go. Now we're in trouble.
Now we go.
So all I can tell you is 62 and 66 points. The last 2 times Tennessee played Mizzou.
Yeah.
Look, and I understand that the defense is better. I understand that memories are long. So you want to put your best foot forward. Blah blah blah. I get all of that, but sometimes a team just has your number. And to me, this is what this looks like. I don't think Missouri is going to come off of that Georgia win or that Georgia loss. I don't think they're going to come off of it the way we think that they're going to come off of it. You know what I mean? I think it took a lot of steam. They did everything that they could do right last week. They did everything that they could do.
Yeah.
And they came up short. This is just the type of game where they let down. Now, somehow I believe this game is going to be close.
Yeah.
I don't think Tennessee is going to score in the 60s again. And actually, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. So I like Tennessee and the under.
Kind of like that. That's not bad.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, if we're going Tennessee, I mean, you want to take the under on that for sure, man. So there it is.
Also, just to throw it out there, Heupel was the offensive coordinator at Mizzou. Then he left because I don't think he was going to get the job and went to Drinkowitz, who he went to UCF, right? And he got coached. I think it's UCF. I don't remember, some Florida school. And then Heupel went to Tennessee. So Heupel does, if he gets up on Missouri, he's putting it on Missouri. He's not afraid. Like last year was 66-24. The year before that, it was 62-24, or switch it up. You know, like Tennessee has destroyed Missouri the last 2 years.
All right. Well, Grant thinks that and a little air out of the balloon syndrome here for the Tigers is going to be their downfall. That take us to our last college game of the week, guys. We got Utah plus 9.5 at Washington. The over-under is 53. Grant, we'll start with you.
All right. So it's going to be a high-scoring game. Michael Penix, bad boy. He's a bad boy. Washington scores a lot of points. Passing game is good. I mean, last week they rushed for over 300, which is insane. And Utah has a good defense. But I think Utah has a good defense against lesser competition. Right? I don't think you're going to be able to stop this Washington freight train coming at you. You know, and I don't know. I don't see any way that Utah can win the game, but I do believe that Utah will also be able to score. Right. So I think Utah will cover the spread, because the spread is what, 9.5, 10 points?
Yeah, 9.5.
Yeah, 9.5. I think Utah will cover the spread, but Washington will probably win the game by like 5. 6 points they'll win by. So I like Utah to cover, and I like the over.
Utah to cover and the over. Well, listen, I think you make a lot of great points about the Utah defense. Washington's won the last 5 games have been squeakers, man. But you know what? There were wins. And not only were they wins late. And that late win against Oregon told me a lot about that team, man. And they can score points. Now, the only teams that have really given Utah's defense fits are teams that can air it out and throw the ball. USC, they beat USC, but USC put a ton of points up on them. Oregon blasted them by scoring a ton of points. So I think that's the key to getting over on this Utah team, is if you can score over the top and do it early and put them behind, you can really get out in front of them. I'm going to agree with you on that. And that's all Washington does. That's all they do, is go up top, try to get over, and just keep rolling points on you. So end of the day, I don't think Utah's going to be able to play the style of football they want, to run the ball and eat the clock. That's their only hope to beat Washington. And that's how they're built anyway, right? Play defense, run the ball, eat the clock. But when you're trailing by 14 points in the first quarter, you can't play like that. So Barnes has played well for him. We've talked about that on the show, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go. I mean, I originally was not thinking of having Washington cover the spread here, but I just got a feeling they're going to get out and keep rolling, and a little air out of the balloon for Utah. I'm going to take Washington to cover the 9.5 points and take the over here. Andy, what do you think?
Washington and the over. I think Utah's in trouble. Like, look, last week they beat Arizona State like 55-3, and I know that Washington beat Arizona State at home 15-7. But that was kind of just a spot for Washington, like a schedule spot. You know, if you look at how many points Washington has scored at home, they tend to put up points at home. Right? 50. Here's what they've scored at home: 56, 43, 59, 36, 15. Those are like your 4 scores. So like, I don't know how they only beat Arizona like 15-7, Arizona State. Yeah. I think they were just hung over for the entire week from their previous week's win. I just don't think Utah can keep up. I think once the Penix train gets rolling, and also Washington has a lot to play for ultimately, because they're going to have to possibly face Oregon in like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever. True. You know, they got next week, they go to Oregon State. So it's like a slip here puts Oregon State back in the mix, right? Because if they lose here, next week's game with Oregon State becomes immensely more important. Right. It's all on the road. And like, I just don't see how they slip up here, because Oregon's coming. It's Oregon, Washington's the train's aiming towards that game again now, especially since Arizona, who's also very good, Arizona, they beat Oregon State. So I just think it's a lot of points. I think its final score is something like, 45, 28, 24. Like, I just think it just kind of gets out of Utah's hands. So yeah. I also don't love the Utah quarterback. in general. He's like whatever to me. But
yeah.
I like Washington. I don't like Washington to beat Oregon in like a month, but I like Washington this week.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you one thing I don't like right now is that the guest picker is out on his own island with these picks again. And last week that did not go well for us. I'm going to tell you that right now. Now, listen, before we get into the NFL, guys, I got to give a quick shout out to the official beer of the DWMOD podcast. That's Old English 800, guys. You watching the games this weekend, Andy, you know, right? You want to get it, hit it with a little orange juice with the Old English 800. Skip the mimosas. They're expensive. They're going to give you heartburn. It's no good. It's no good. If you want to go all day and have fun all day, just keep going with the Old English 800, little orange juice, little brass monkey. Keep it moving like that. And now a word from our sponsors and Gordon Butterfield and what just happened over there with Black Hawk Coffee.
Oh, what just happened? What just happened is brought to you by Black Hawk Coffee. Start your day off with Black Hawk Coffee and you'll be flying high and landing right on time. That's Black Hawk Coffee, a Colombian bean company. Janet Lipnicki with a fresh cup of Black Hawk Coffee, looking to take on a washed-out beef patch. A ginger 1-2, and she's in the clear. Oh, sniper! Oh, what just happened? Looks like we've got action from the 6-story window of the book depository as Janet takes that second step. Oh, bang! Down she goes. Let's take one more look. And here we see she goes wrong right there. She's simply uncoordinated and bang! Her face in the sand quicker than an ostrich. Oh, that's gotta hurt. Somebody put some chalk around that coffee. Black Hawk down. Oh, what just happened?
Gordon. I mean, he's a master of wordsmithing on the microphone on the live call. Gordon, tip of the cap to you, buddy. Let's jump to the NFL here, guys. Our first game on the docket. 49ers laying 3 to the Jaguars. The over-under is 46. And I got to tell you, this is another one of those spreads I don't get. It feels like a Vegas trap spread to me. The Niners, 3 losses in a row. They've only scored 17 points a game in the last 3 games. We talked about this on the show, Andy. We feel like the Browns exposed Purdy and how to handle him. Just rush 3. We don't care if we sack him or not. Drop 8. Kid will make mistakes. And they seem to have unlocked the Purdy puzzle. Niners, their offense has not been playing very well lately since that. Their defense is supposed to be the best of the best, but I got questions for the 49ers, right? The offensive line's banged up. Wide receivers are banged up. Teams seem to have figured out Purdy. And at the deadline, you went out and got a bunch of defensive pieces to add to your killer defense that's keeping you in games. I guess more of a good thing isn't always bad, but I didn't understand that move to me. Jags are on a 5-game win streak here. They look good. They look like Lawrence is playing better. They don't look like world beaters, but they look like a tough out in any week they're going to play. And they're home dogs here. I just don't get it personally. Listen, I'm going to take the Jags and the 3 points at home and give me the over 46. Andy, what do you think?
Oh, I hate that we agree on the team. Look, I like a home dog over a field goal.
Wow.
I think Debo is kind of the big key for 49ers. Is Debo going to play? I think he's going to play. You know, they also had a week rest, which is sometimes good, right? Good for a team outside of just the rest. Like just to, also after losing 3 in a row, just to have a week out of the building is probably pretty good. McCaffrey, you know, I guess what I'm finding out more is like Debo is very important to the 49ers. Like, I mean, he's good. I knew he was really good, but he's very important to San Francisco. You know, a home dog. The hard part is, Shanahan versus Doug Peterson. Like, I like Shanahan a little more, but you know, I just can't. If I'm telling you where I'm putting my money or where you should put your money, I'm just going to take the home dog. I'm going to take Etienne and Lawrence. And I think they're going to get Zay Jones back, who's going to be important, and Kirk. So I also see it as a defensive game. So I think it's going to come down. It's not going to be very high scoring. I like the under here. I think it's probably going to come down to, like, you know, the final couple minutes, like who has the ball last? What is the score? is San Francisco going to have to go get 7 to win by 4, or are the Jags going to have to go get a field goal to, win by 3, or, so I just think it's going to be, tight. And it's going down the end. That's why I'm going to take the Jags. I don't love it. Under. I don't love it, but I'm going to take the Jags in the under.
All right, here's where we could get into some trouble because Grant has already gone against us twice in college, but I know that he is an NFL dude. So this is where he's going to be really dialed in here. So what do you think about this one, man?
So coming off the bye, Debo is playing. I'm going to take San Francisco. I do not believe that. So I've been having problems with Jacksonville all year. Jacksonville drops a lot of passes, man. They're making Trevor Lawrence look bad. ATN is a monster, but San Francisco's defense is super. Brock Purdy is really just in NFL standards, to me, he's an ordinary quarterback. But you give an ordinary quarterback Christian McCaffrey, Debo Samuel, and my who I like better than Debo is Brandon Ayuk. And then George Kittle over the middle. That's a recipe for success. And Kyle Shanahan, the mad genius back there, I have to take San Francisco. I can't take Doug Peterson and I just can't. There's no way I could do it. And I think I need the under. I think San Francisco wins this game like 24-10, something like that. I don't think Jacksonville is going to have a lot of success scoring the ball.
I could see that, man. That's not a bad prediction on the score. As soon as you said it out loud, I'm going, man, I might want to change my pick there. It sounded like it's pretty legit. But you bring up a good point about Purdy. He's a system quarterback, and we talk about this on the show all the time. And I always say it. People act like system quarterback or game manager are swear words when you're talking about a quarterback, and it means they're not good. And if you ain't Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow, you better be one of those two other things if you want to play in the NFL. So it's not a bad thing to be at all if you land in the right system and you can manage the right game. So,
absolutely.
That's
what's wrong with the NFL now. What's wrong with the NFL is they want to make every quarterback into Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady or somebody. Every quarterback is not that.
No. It's an excellent point. And that's another show too. I got into a whole bunch of that. The push for points and changing all the rules is bad for the game. It just is. So you see where all that's going. Next game up, got a little bit of all that of what we've been talking about in it right now. We got an electric quarterback. We got a great defense. We're building up to the perfect game here. It's Browns +6 at the Ravens, over under 37. Andy, what do you think here?
Well, I love Lamar. I'm going to always be a Lamar defender. I think he's a wonderful little fun quarterback. I would bet this 2 ways, probably, if I'm being honest. The Ravens have rolled some good NFC teams recently, right? But we all know the stats of Lamar's 301 versus the NFC. It's because the NFC teams don't see Lamar a lot. That rhythm that he plays with is different than, going up against Jordan Love, blah, blah, blah. Whatever, name an NFC quarterback here. It just, to me, I think if you're betting this game, I think you probably have to take the Browns just because it's and the under. If you're taking the Browns, you're taking the under. I think it's the only way they're going to win. I just heard a stat maybe on the radio, the Ravens defense just not getting enough credit. Been 109 possessions, and they've allowed a touchdown's been scored 7 times. Something crazy. That's not the exact stat, but it was a pretty unbelievable stat, right? Not a lot of people are scoring touchdowns on the Ravens. The Ravens have also blown out Seattle and Detroit. This is the 3rd game, I think, of their 3 home games in a row. So, look, I just don't think it's going to happen. Not that I think the Browns are awesome. I think there's, just to finish my rant, either the Ravens are going to beat them by 30, is what I think, or the Browns are going to keep it close. I'm just going to place my money on the Browns. Give me the points and give me the under.
Also, take and the under.
Just take the money line, too. Take the Ravens money line.
Okay, well, listen, man. You're going to hate this because we're going to be pretty much the same on this one. And Andy hates when he picks the same as me. He hates it, and he's probably right. But listen, I'm just going to make a few points, and I'm going to turn it over to Grant. You make a good point about the Ravens are beating up on a bunch of NFC teams right now, and they do dominate the NFC teams because they don't get to see him. And that rhythm is a really big deal, man. He's a special dude. He plays the game differently than a lot of other guys ever have. And you can watch it on film all you want, man. But until you see it live in 4K, you don't get a feel for it, man. You know, you just don't. And that showed in the Lions game, showed in the Seahawks game for sure. Lamar's looking like MVP candidate again this year. I mean, he looks like he's back. He looks like he is, if he stays healthy, he's looking like an MVP front runner right now. And the Ravens, they won the first matchup here. These teams have already played 28-3 earlier in the year, but that was before the Browns defense started playing the way that it was playing now. And that was Watson was junk then and then got hurt. He's back, still could be junk. Am I massaging this too much? I don't know. But anyway, let me just say this. The Browns held Lamar Jackson to under 200 yards of total offense in that first game. I don't know if a lot of people know that. This is a division foe that has historically played well against Lamar Jackson. So I think the Ravens win this game. I think they're the better team, but I agree with you, Andy. 6 points is a lot of points for the best defense in the NFL. This is going to be Watson's second game back now, right? He should have a little better feel for what's going on. But all we hear about is that Jets defense, but the Browns defense is straight winning them games for real. I'm going to take the Browns. Division foe. They know how to play them. I'm taking the Browns. Give me the 6 and also give me the under, man. Grant, what do you think?
So in the AFC North division, you're getting 6 points, you take them.
Oh, man, here we go.
Myles Garrett, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett is having one of the best defensive seasons I've ever seen. I mean, this is on that Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White,
Oh, yeah.
Ray Lewis, this is on that level, what that guy's doing over there. But yeah, I mean, everything you guys said, it all rings true. But like I said, in this division, in this AFC North division, you giving me 6 points, I have to take the 6 points.
Yeah,
all those games are always close. It's like Andy said, it's either going to be close or it's going to be a blowout.
Right.
I can't see Baltimore blowing anybody out right now
in the division.
Short of a, if they get a couple defensive touchdowns, then yeah. But short of that,
right.
I just don't see it.
You're not seeing you don't see Deshaun down 14 gets kind of like a shitty touchdown, or down 12.
Right. Yeah.
It's not happening.
No.
Right? It's not happening.
And Amari Cooper is having a great year. I mean, and hopefully Deshaun will, revert back to form. He looked pretty good this past weekend.
Right.
So hopefully he'll revert back to form and give me the points in the under.
Points in the under for all three of us there, man. That's the trifecta there. So I do like to hear that.
It is a good point, though. It's you know what I always say about betting Mike Tomlin, right? It's my Mike Tomlin theory, whereas I always take Mike Tomlin as a dog, never take Mike Tomlin as a favorite. Generally, this week might break that rule because Green Bay's so bad. But anytime, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, I don't even know who's going to be the thing this next week. I think, or it's Bengals, Baltimore. Whoever's the dog in Bengals, Baltimore next week. I'm taking that team. I just guarantee it. Just guarantee you. I'm taking that.
Yeah, it's that type of division, man. It's that type of division.
For sure.
We're all on the same ones there. Now let's get to a little Motor City Kitty talk, guys. All right. Lions are back. They licked up their wounds after that Ravens game, learned some tough lessons about being a front-running team. Waxed the Raiders poetic on Monday night. We got the Lions laying 2 on the road against the Chargers in Los Angeles. 49 is the over-under, and I'm just going to be quick here. I said it on the show before. I'm going to say it again. This is a business trip for the Lions here, man. They whipped the Raiders' ass last week, and the Ravens beat them up the week before that. But this Lions team is heading in the right direction. They're learning lessons every week. They're getting better every week. I love Jared Goff indoors. We talked about that, right? On the road in his old home in L.A. Should be comfortable, ready to go there. And just one question for you guys. Is Staley still the coach for the Chargers?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Give me the Lions then. because he's going to do something stupid. Chargers coming off a couple big wins over the Bears and the Jets. Don't get feeling yourself yet, because Staley will do something to cost them the game. I saw some ridiculous stat that Herbert is among all the quarterbacks drafted in his rookie class that have started as many games as he has. He's lost more games than any of them, and you can hang every one of them on Staley just about. He's the most brutal coach I've ever seen. 4th downs on your own 25-yard line. He's terrible. I'm going to let it go. I'm taking the Lions. Lay the points. Give me the over. Grant, what do you like?
I'm gonna follow suit because I believe Staley will blow the game regardless. And the Lions have been playing pretty well. The Chargers have been playing pretty bad. I don't know what's up with Herbert. He's just not he's not looking good. This whole Kellen Moore coming over, new offensive coordinator, maybe he just needs more time in the system or whatever, but he hasn't looked good to me for most of the year. The Lions are pretty much rolling. They, like you say, they took that whipping in Baltimore and had to regroup. They had been reading some press clippings, I believe, and once they took that L, they had to sit back and reassess. I love Amon-Ra. He's a beast. He's a beast. And I respect Joey Bosa and or which Bosa is over there, whichever one is over there. I respect the defense and all of that, but I don't think they're going to be able to stop the Lions. And I think the Lions defense will be able to stop them. So give me the Lions, and I'm going to take the under.
Oh, you're going to take the under in this one. Okay.
I'm taking the under.
Right. Taking the under. All right. Hey, Andy, where are you landing on this one?
I'm dying to take the Chargers.
I know you are.
I just need that number to get to 3.
Don't do it.
Right? It's like once it gets to 3, my guess will be I will be taking the Chargers. But I think it's at 2.5. Whatever. I know we have it at 2. I think it's rising a little bit. And I'd probably even try to middle of taking the Lions at 2. Look, I have a primetime theory. Mikey, you know this. I will explain my primetime theory for Grant. My primetime theory is the team we just saw on primetime, right? The team we just saw win on primetime, I always like to bet against the following week. So those teams would be our Thursday night game was the Pittsburgh Steelers, by the way. It's got that Mike Tomlin theory is just staring at me against Green Bay. We also you'd have the Chiefs and the Dolphins as a primetime game. It was the only game in Germany. Neither team's playing. They're out. Who was the Sunday night game? It was the
Buffalo, Cincinnati.
Bengals and the Bills, right?
Right. Yeah. So it tells me I would want to bet on the Bills and bet against the Bengals, and I'm going to bet on the Jets and bet against the Chargers. Right. So that's my primetime theory. I just think it's the line is overvalued in their favor. The winning team, right? There's no world where the 6-2 Lions should be a -2. The Lions should be 3.5, right? 3.5, maybe 4. Yeah. But the line is overvalued because Joe Public, just saw the Chargers, right? We just saw them win on the road on Monday night. We're all watching the game. So that line has been down. It was a little down. Also, we don't quite believe in the Lions. But anyway, so look, I like that it's indoors. That helps Goff, I think. Montgomery's coming back. I like that. I do have a couple tickets on the Chargers winning the AFC, so I do kind of believe still in the Chargers a little bit, but I'm not against the Lions. I think the week off is going to help. I do agree that Staley's he's going to goof up something. He's going to call something, and it's going to be some disaster. So I'll take the over, and I think I'm going to be at the game. One of those. Also, I think it's going to be 50,000 Lions fans at the game. So there's no home field advantage.
Absolutely.
No.
So this is why I think, especially for the Chargers. So this is another reason I think the Lions a little low, right? Because I think it's a Lions home game, not a Chargers home game.
Yeah. And I'll tell you a little Lions nugget going forward for the rest of the season. Coming from Dan Campbell and the rest of the coaching staff, you will not see them play unaggressive again the rest of the way. They learned their lesson at Baltimore going into that game. They had been playing balls to the wall, aggressive on defense, get after it, go after it. And the game plan going into Baltimore was now let's sit back, make the read, make sure we don't screw up and let Lamar run. Make sure you see it before you go get it. Don't let us get tricked. And they played tentative and trying to react, and they looked like dog shit. And I think they got back in the room and said, hey, if we're going to get beat, you got to beat us the way we're playing. No more doing that. So I don't think you're going to see them dial back on defense anymore.
Yeah, and I think the Lions too have a shot, a legit shot to get the 1 seed, right? Like they have a legit shot to get a top 2 seed, maybe 1, right? And I think the Lions in the playoffs are much better suited at home than almost all the other. Like I think Philly can travel. I think San Francisco could travel. I think Dallas could travel. I'm more worried about the Lions traveling in general. In the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Detroit has to go to Philly.
Outdoor, I don't like that.
If Philly has to come to Detroit, then you get into a Lions fight, right? You get into a high scoring type of game. That's a Lions fight, right? So Detroit needs to keep winning these games. This is a big one because they still got the Vikings 2 times.
Yeah.
There's no way Josh Dobbs is going to beat the Lions.
No.
Week 15 and week 17. Just mark it down. They got
Still
the Bears,
2 Bears games.
Packers. Like they got some wins. Like they got some wins on the schedule. They need this Charger game. So
it's a crazy statement. Lions could have the number 1 seed in the NFC. Never in my life would I thought I've ever heard that and believe it. And I believe it, man. I believe it.
So I do have a question that I want to ask.
Yeah.
Worst coach? Arthur Smith in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Brandon Staley.
I think Staley's just got a longer track record of being a worse coach. He's got a bigger resume. You know what I mean?
True. Okay.
Why did they? Well, I'm very frustrated by Arthur Smith. Like they drafted Bijan 8th, right? And Bijan's electric. Like dude's averaging like 5 yards a carry, and all of a sudden, and the 8th now Bijan. It's so frustrating. I'm like, just give him the ball and just get out of the way. You see those on like Twitter on like Sunday nights or Monday where they show like in slow motion. I saw one like Bijan like threw the ball behind his back.
Yeah.
I was like,
he caught it behind his back, making a move.
Unbelievable. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing?
I don't know if it's a thing where like it wasn't the draft pick he wanted, so he's not playing. I don't think it's that. It seems silly, but I don't know what else it could be.
They got to get him a quarterback.
True.
Do you think it's anything to do with the headaches that had Bijan out that game, and maybe they just don't want to leak that to everybody that it's worse than it really is?
I don't know, man. I mean, I
didn't go there, but okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it was right before the game. They didn't report anything, and it was a game time decision out of nowhere. And he was having Scottie Pippen headaches and couldn't play.
Right.
Maybe there's more to that, and they just don't want to put it out there.
5 yards a carry.
Could be.
He's playing well.
That's a touch. That's a first down every 2 carries.
Right.
It's worth
I
having.
disagree. It's a mystery.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm just curious. That Arthur Smith cat.
I would throw that Bears coach in my discussion.
Oh well, Nagy was horrible.
Eberflus but the current one, Eberflus.
But Nagy is over there messing up Kansas City right now.
Yeah, he's trying.
He's destroying offense in Kansas City.
By the way, that's who I think is gonna by the way, we're talking about like guys who made right decisions. I'll give you a name. Eric Bieniemy. Yes, sir. Eric Bieniemy, it's twofold, right? Chiefs look worse on offense. Bieniemy's not there. The Commanders, I about called them the R word. Their old mascot name.
Right.
The Commanders, offense getting a little better, right? They're kind of
a little better. I still think it wasn't a good move for him, no.
I think this has been the best move he's made. He got out of the Andy Reid shadow where everybody's like, Andy Reid's a genius. Like Bieniemy was never getting a head coaching job under Reid. Now, Bieniemy's going to be the next in a year. He's going to be the coach of the Commanders. They're going to fire Rivera, and then he's going to be the coach.
That could be.
It's a great move by Bieniemy.
Yeah, maybe they promised
he had to do.
He was smart. He sacrificed a shot at the Super Bowl this year to be a head coach. Ultimately,
yeah. I guess it's just a big part of me hates that like he gave into what they wanted. You know what I mean? Like they were like, we're not going to give you a head coach job until you can prove it somewhere else. Like I hate that he had to go do that. Like he should already be a head coach somewhere. And I hate that he had to like eat that. I don't know, just as a competitor, I know he hated it, but he was like, I'm going to go fucking do it, but I don't like it. You know what I mean? Like he shouldn't have to. And That's what bugs me about it. But anyway,
you mean the old white owners weren't?
Yeah. You know how that
the old
goes.
white owners, or you mean what are you saying, Mike?
Yeah, you know exactly what I'm saying. You heard me say it before. It's all bullshit, man.
Yeah.
Didn't they redo the Rooney Rule or something?
Yeah. They have to interview one.
They redid it. Didn't they redo it or get rid of it or something? Like I seem to remember hearing something about the Rooney Rule.
I think they're thinking about getting rid of it, but I will tell you this. I think they made the right move 2 years ago into getting away from the Rooney Rule because they were just abusing it and like making it a mockery.
Right.
When they put in the rule that if you bring a guy up in your system and then he gets a general manager job or head coaching job somewhere else, you get supplemental draft picks for that. Because remember the Lions,
right?
They ended up getting the Rams ended up getting extra picks because we picked up Brad. And I'm like, now that's how you do it. That's how you promote. Give people an opportunity to prove themselves. And when they do, you'll be rewarded. That's how you get people to the table that don't want to be at the table. You got to offer them a bone. Unfortunate, but a better solution.
But the enemy, though, I think is one of the big winners this year. I just think he's
without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Guy should be a coach. It's absolutely unfair. Like he's a big winner. Like Sam Howell's on a lot of people's fantasy teams. And I can't believe it, right? And it's all a lot of the enemy.
Yeah, he's a great coach. He's a great coach. I mean, plain and simple. I mean, after everything Mike Tomlin's done, Mike Tomlin, one of the best damn coaches in the league. So I don't even understand.
Right.
Coolest coach in the game. Coolest coach in the game, Mike Tomlin.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's the best. I love Mike Tomlin.
He is the best coach in football right now, probably, for sure. For sure. Him and Andy Reid. I mean,
good coach. Andy Reid, probably the most uncool coach in the game.
yeah, right. I don't know. I love the State Farm commercials, man. Explain it again with those nuggies. That's funny, man. And him drawing the mustaches and shit.
That one with the mustaches is hilarious, dude.
I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. That's so funny, man.
I ask your opinion. What should I do with this Pittsburgh? I told you I have my two theories because I'm gonna have to make a decision soon. I hate betting Mike Tomlin as a favorite. That's coming. And then Pittsburgh, we saw primetime, and they won at home to beat the Titans. So generally, I would take the road team, but the road team happens to be the not very good Green Bay Packers.
The Green Bay Packers
at 3.5. It's at 3.5.
As a general football fan, there's no team that I'm more disappointed in than the Green Bay Packers because I thought after 3 years in the system that Jordan Love would be better. Now, I don't know if Mike LaFleur is just a horrible coach.
Right.
Because they look highly disheveled every week. I don't know what the problem is in Green Bay. But I hear your theory. That theory used to be the Monday night theory. The team that won on Monday night, you bet against them on Sunday.
100%.
Now it's prime time, but the Thursday game and the Sunday night game it's just a little too much. But that said, I can't in good conscience take Green Bay.
No,
and this is understanding how horribly Kenny Pickett has looked.
Horrible.
It does not look good.
But he looked better. He's been looking better the past couple weeks. They've been finally giving Najee Harris the ball like they should.
Yep.
And Deontay Johnson is back.
Yep.
Deontay Johnson is the safety blanket.
Yep.
So there's no way that I could take Green Bay.
I'm with you, man. It takes me like an hour to get warmed up in these games. Like it's like an hour into the game, I'm like, now Pickett's starting to play good. It's like he took an hour to get loose during the game.
What is the spread in the game?
Like 3.5.
I'm telling you, Andy, if it's 3, I'm crossing the line. I'm taking Pittsburgh +3. I'm crossing the line.
Yeah. I mean, this way you always got to take the other side and add the 6, get the value. But
sure. But sometimes I gotta cross the line, man. So all right. Well, hey, Grant, thank you so much for being here, man.
Oh man, listen. Thanks for having me, bruh.
Yeah, maybe down the line, man, if you want to come back on later in the season, man, because it's great to have somebody.
I'm always in. Let me tell you something. This is a blast, man. Andy knows his shit. I mean, I already know how you know your shit. Look, I'm in anytime.
All right. Well, let's make that happen for sure, man. Thanks for being here. Thank you for doing the show. I'll reach out to you and get in touch to you, man. We'll see you next time.
Absolutely. Andy, wonderful to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you, man.
All right, y'all take it easy.
We'll see you guys next time, man. It's time for another episode of All Right Bet.